everybody, it's Sam, and we are back with another episode of Pessimistic at Best, the podcast. I have returning guest and friend of the pod, Kyle, on the podcast today.
Hey.
It's great to have you here.
I'm so happy to be back. I've been looking forward to this since the first time that we filmed.
I mean, literally same. Also, we were like way overdue for another one, so I'm so excited to have you on. And this is such a sweet evening. How lucky are we?
I know, I have a lot to talk about.
It was the best. Kyle taught us how to make handmade pasta. I've never done that before.
Yeah.
So good to learn a new skill.
It was taught to me. I've like made it my mission to tell other people now.
For
But it's like
sure.
fun. It's not that hard, but it's also like pretty time intensive, and it's like fun to do together. Like there's a task for everybody. It's not like you're just sitting and
Exactly.
watching.
So true.
And it's fun. And it
Everyone
like,
has a role.
leads to a good meal. Like I'm so content right now. I'm full. I'm happy. I probably smell like
Same.
garlic. I'm sorry, but
Hey, a garlic friendly podcast.
good to hear.
No, it was so fun. It was also one of those things where, like you said, you don't have to think about it that hard. So it's not like I really have to zone in. I can still gab.
Yeah.
But it's like a fun little activity to do. It gives you something to do with your hands, and then you just get to chat.
No, it was
How
like it was
sweet.
perfect, and like me, you, and James doing it together was my favorite part.
Honestly.
So thanks for having me.
And it's so good to enjoy the fruits of our labor.
yeah,
It was delicious.
that was a damn good meal. Considering
so
I only
good.
ate French fries yesterday,
Totally.
like, twice.
These things happen. You
Yeah.
had 2 separate sessions of having fries.
Yeah, I ate like Ore-Ida at home French fries, and then I took a nap, and then I went to a cocktail lounge and I got wasabi fries. And that
And
was
sometimes-
literally all I ate.
Sometimes it's just kind of a day to have different types of potatoes.
Yeah, exactly. I felt great. I actually felt like shit, actually. But then I was like, you know what? Today's a new day. We're going to make pasta.
Honestly, I did the exact same thing. I was coming home from a trip, and it was my work trip that I was just on, and we were at the airport, and there were like 2 different things that my manager and I were thinking of sharing at this little airport restaurant. It was like a Hard Rock airport restaurant.
My dad loves the Hard Rock.
I think that's the only Hard Rock I ever went to, was this one in the fucking Los Angeles airport. Or maybe it was Rolling Stone, one of those. And we were just kind of sitting there. It was like 2 kind of like different salad options. And they were like, well, we don't have any. The whole menu is different. We don't have any of this. I was like, well, this is kind of the menu you gave me, but totally.
Yeah, right.
And she was like, all we pretty much have are like loaded fries or like things that were like really meat forward. So we landed on the loaded fries. And then, of course, immediately afterwards, I have the worst stomach of all time, and I have to get on a 4-hour flight. And I was like, great, this is actually so smart. I'm so glad I made this choice.
What were the fries loaded with?
They actually, so it was kind of just like bacon and a sauce.
Still meat forward. Okay. Yeah.
Crumbled bacon, but the sauce was also like incredibly tangy in this way that I was like, this isn't quite, I don't think this belongs on French fries,
Yeah.
which is sort of like a classic airport mistake.
It's like, it's so hard to eat at the airport. It's either like you're eating like a bagel that costs you $12, or you're eating at like,
Completely.
what's that one? It's bubblegum shrimp
Oh,
company. Those are like always at the airport too.
So are always at the
Yeah.
airport. Like, I wonder if they actually have any stores that aren't at the airport.
I know. I've never seen one. I think at the airport it's like Macaroni Grill, that,
So true.
or like the Hudson News, where I get like
Always a Hudson
a candy
News.
bar
Yeah,
and like
a little snack.
a snack and like a Powerade.
Sometimes, for some reason, at no other time in my life besides when I am confronted with like being at the Hudson News, do I feel compelled to buy a magazine. But I will like find myself
Yeah.
purchasing like a $3 magazine because I'm like, well, when you're at the Hudson News,
What kind of magazine do you go for?
I feel like I usually opt for like the fashiony ones, but every
Yeah.
once in a while I'll get like an Architectural Digest or like something.
Okay.
Because I do kind of like, in my big age of 27, I have started kind of loving looking at home remodels.
Totally.
And I find myself constantly on Zillow.
Do you like drive by places and you're like, that house is beautiful? Like, let me
Look
look
it
up
up. I
the
have to
address.
look it up
Yeah,
there.
I do that in Lincoln Park all the time.
For
And then
sure.
it's like, oh, this is like $8.7 million.
I know, it's crazy.
Okay.
I like to do that around my neighborhood just to see how things are priced.
Yeah.
Or like you'll find, like around here, I feel like there are lots of like churches that have been remodeled into like a living space. I'm always like, well, I'm dying to know what that looks like on the inside.
Totally.
So I'm like, okay, remember that address.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
We did that with like my old apartment, which granted we weren't paying like an extraordinary amount of rent, but we like looked at what the property taxes were and like
Oh, of your place?
yeah, like the place I was living at, and realized that we were like giving our landlord so much more money than it costs to like
100%.
I was like, this place like isn't that expensive. And yeah, like I'm spending my whole paycheck to live here.
Yeah, no,
that rocks.
literally.
Yeah, it sucks.
I did that for our place too, because I mean, obviously, like our landlords previously lived here, so I was just like, I'm so curious what they spent on this place, and it was like just under $1 million.
Really, I would guess it was over $1 million.
Kind of same. They bought it like maybe like 6 or 7 years ago now.
Gotcha.
I think now it would easily be more than that.
Okay, so the other day, so I have like a pretty shitty kitchen in my apartment, and so like I have like
it's cute. She's just really small.
It's small, and but because I don't have like any storage, I literally have one drawer that like doesn't even fit a standard little like silverware drawer thing. Like it is so small. So I have no storage, and so I use the very top rack that I put like my stand mixer, my like Instapot, and like all these other things on, and my cat gets up there.
Classic.
And so like one day I was like, it was so cute. It was her first time up there, so I was like, I wanted to stand on my countertop and like pet her and like kiss her head and stuff. And I saw this packet of paper up there. And I was like, what is this? And it was the lease from the tenant that lived there in 2017.
Oh,
and
crazy.
it's what, 2024, 7 years ago. The rent was literally less than half of what I'm paying now. And like I understand that like rent goes up by a certain percentage every year, which is crazy because my salary doesn't.
Right.
But yeah, they were paying like less than $1,000. It was like $800.
Oh my god.
For like that apartment, which I think is like actually probably what it's worth now.
Yeah.
Because like again today the water was off. I woke up and turned the faucet on and the water was turned off, and I was like, okay.
That happens to you frequently?
Frequently. I think this is probably, so last time it happened, I remember like really complaining about it, and it was I remember it was like day 22, non-consecutive, but it was the 22nd day of my lease that I did not have water. And every time it happens, I like get on ChatGPT and I write like a little, I'm like, I need concessions here because like I'm paying so much rent, like we can't do laundry, like I can't, like I have a cat, like I need to drink water. Like people die if you don't drink water.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Also, you're paying to live somewhere,
and I'm paying to live somewhere.
They need to provide you
like,
with your basic
let me know that I need to
necessities.
fill up my fucking Brita before.
No, literally.
Yeah, and so
are they shutting it off, or is it on accident every time?
No, they're like purposefully shutting it off, and they'll just say like we're doing
conserve water.
They say that it's always for like what is that big thing in like the utility room called the water heater. They said it's like for maintenance of the water heater. I'm like, you've had to maintenance this thing 22 times since
Get a
I've
new one.
lived
It's
here.
time for a
It's time for a new one. It's literally time for a new one.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then today like it was turned off, and this one was actually from the city, I think, because there was like one of those like tags on our door. Came outside, the 2 fire hydrants outside of my apartment spewing water into the street.
Okay.
So I was like, okay,
Totally.
like yeah, something happened.
Something's
but
going
like,
on.
yeah.
That's crazy. Well, you're excited to move then.
I'm excited to move. I'm excited. I'm moving with my friend Kate, who might listen to this podcast. I don't know. But yeah, it'll change. Like this is my first time living alone. Did it for a year.
Yeah. It was only a year.
It was like a year and 4 months.
Okay.
It was a year April 1st, and I'm leaving in August. So
crazy.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to living with her.
Yeah.
I'm also looking forward to have running water.
Yeah, that's sort of like something that most people don't even have to think twice about.
Totally. Yeah.
I will say, as someone who loves to cook, I am surprised that you have gotten by in such a small kitchen, because when I had a small kitchen, I was kind of like, oh, this is my excuse to eat out every day.
No, yeah, exactly that. It's like I can't do more than one task, because you know how like tonight we were making the pasta, and it was like, okay, like James was over at the stove, like
yeah,
with the sauce and like the potato and stuff, and then like we were like at the island, which your island is the size of my kitchen.
Yeah.
But like we could like do simultaneous tasks. Like when I'm in my
Yeah.
kitchen, it's like, oh, I have to like clean the surface because I have like 2
no wonder
square
it takes
inches.
longer at your house.
Literally, I'm like, I was like, yeah, this takes me like 5 hours normally to make, because I have to clean and like do everything in between.
For
so
sure.
yeah, I'm like looking forward to like cooking. Kate cooks too, so like we
Nice.
can like do that together.
Okay, I can't wait to come over for dinner.
I know, yeah. I'm always like, I'm gonna host people. I remember when I moved into this place, I was like, I can't wait to host you.
Yeah.
Literally never had anybody over because there's no
It's okay.
fucking room to do anything.
Yeah,
So.
that's fair. I
We're
mean,
moving
it's
up in
one of
the
those
world.
things where if I didn't have James, if I didn't have my roommate, I don't think I could have necessarily afford to live by myself either. It is really fucking expensive, especially in the city.
It is, and it's like I can afford to do it, but like I can't.
Well,
It's
'cause
like
then
I
you
can
have to
afford to do it
forgo
if
other
every
things.
cent. Yeah, it's like I have to forego and like I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like it's not the vibe.
We have other stuff we want to spend money on.
I got other things we got to spend money on.
For sure.
And like running water is one of them.
Yeah, yeah. That
Luckily,
is-
my water bill really low.
So true.
Really low.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
Looking on the bright side. We love that about you.
Yeah, I'm trying my best. Got to be optimistic out here.
So true. Someone to kind of be the yin to my yang.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like there's just so much to explore in this city. Like new neighborhood, new
100%.
new vibes. Like
Do you know what neighborhood you guys want to be in?
no, she lives a little further north. Like she's in
Okay.
Rogers Park right now.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't. I don't want to be that far north. She doesn't want to be as far south as I am in Lakeview. So I think we'll like land somewhere like Ravenswood, Uptown, North Center.
Cute.
Yeah. So
I
it'll
love
be
all those spots.
It'll be fun, like especially now that I've learned that I can ride a bike. I've always known that I can ride a bike, but now I'm
you
like,
need a new bike though.
I need a new bike. Yeah, like
You can't trust her.
the context here is that I have like the world's shittiest bike, but it like honestly, it might not be the world's shittiest bike, but I did have to build it myself. And
Okay, so
I
you only
might
have
be the
yourself to
world's
blame.
shittiest like bike mechanic.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That sort of does add a layer to the story.
Yeah, well, I remember because I would take it to the bike. The chain pops off all the time. Like the brakes disconnect, and like I put it together in a way that I can ride it. It can brake. It can like change
Sure.
gears. It's a 7-gear bike, so like that's not the easiest thing to do. But I remember going in for something called a RAL adjustment. You know what that is?
Absolutely not.
I don't either. But I went into the bike shop and they were like, "You need this," and they were like, "This is on upside down." And I was like,
Oh.
"Oh." So I think like every time I was downshifting, I was actually upshifting.
I see.
So in my head, I'm like conditioned to think that like I go one direction for like when I'm supposed to go uphill, and then I
Right.
ride like a city bike, and it's the opposite, and I'm like, "These bikes suck." like,
Oh my
I should
God,
think that's the
that's
way
so
it's supposed to go.
funny.
Yeah, so like I can't put too much blame on it, but
Sure.
like my first bike that I got I got it on Facebook Marketplace. The pandemic had just
Classic.
begun.
I think you can say both.
Thanks.
Safe space.
And I would like bike. Colton and I would like go. We would have like a weekly little like picnic.
cute.
Where we would literally drink 2 bottles of wine, and then I would bike
Classic picnic energy.
all the way down Milwaukee after drinking a bottle of wine by myself. Not the best
You're
thing.
gonna get a BUI.
I've learned. I know that's like not like a good thing that I should have been doing, but like I was, and I got like this one of those bikes that literally has like the gear shift, like the paddle shifters, like on the frame of the bike.
Okay.
And you have to use your thumbs, and it's like it's one of those bikes where you like hunch over. I did not know
sure.
how to ride that thing. I was clipping cars. Like I got hit by a car on it.
No.
Yeah, by a parked car.
No!
That was like, yeah, I know. But I think it still hit me because like they were like backing into the spot, but like whatever.
Okay. A parking car.
And I was like, yeah. And so like I chained it up to my fence, and it literally went 2 winters where it just like rotted there, and it got like snowed on.
Completely
It was like, remember that year that we
Rusty
got
as
like
fuck.
a blizzard? Yeah, it was like rusty, and I was like, I need to get a new bike. So last summer I bought this one.
What made you want to do kind of like a build your own?
Well, I didn't know it was a build my own.
Okay,
I
see.
saw it on the website. I saw somebody else had one, like a old coworker that I would like go to the lake with. Like her friend showed up one day, had like the cutest. It was like a forest green,
Okay.
but it was beautiful. And so I like messaged him on Instagram, and I was like, "Hey, like, what bike do you have? I would love to buy one of these." And he gave me the link, and I went online, and there was like 2 styles. There was like yellow's my favorite color. There was a yellow one, and it's like that color yellow of your pot, like very
Cute.
beautiful.
Yes.
Like imagine just like riding by the lake
Of
with
course,
that color.
glamorous.
But it was like one of those. It has like the little dip. Like the frame isn't. It's like a step over bike,
okay.
and like the one that I had is more of like the one that's like a mountain bike that has like the frame that you kind of have to like swing your leg over rather
For
than like
sure.
step through it. So I went with the green one, and it was like the step over bike. And I was like, this is so cute. And so I got like the shipment. I got like the little shop app notification, and I was like, crazy how they're like they just put a bike on here, like
For
whatever.
sure.
But I was like, whatever. And so I got a notification that it was delivered. And so I like called the number on the delivery thing, and I was like, do you want me to like wheel it to my front door or like whatever? And they're like, no, we just dropped it off like at the gate. Big ass fucking box the size of this couch at my gate. And I was like, okay. So then I carried it up by myself, and it was like in a couple of pieces. Like it wasn't
Sure.
like every nut and bolt needed to be put in, but I was certainly not under the impression that it needed to be built. So
Of
I literally
course.
built it in my living room. And
That's crazy.
I finished and I was like, I ate because it looked like a bike. Like, and then as far as I was concerned, like
You did
it
the
was,
job.
I did the job, and then I rode it, and then like my chain would pop off, and then I would like be like laying on like the path where there's like hundreds of bikers going by
Of
me,
course.
not a single person offering to help, and I'm like
Right, are we supposed to be in
trying to
solidarity
string the
here,
chain
folks?
back on. Yeah, I'm like, it was just, yeah. So then I brought it in over the winter, and then I think like on Sunday, I was like, I'm gonna take this back out, tuned it up a
Totally.
little bit. I like tightened some bolts. I like flicked the little, like strings on it to make sure that they weren't gonna pop. They were like
Right.
piano strings. It was like perfect. Broke down again, and I was like going to the movies,
Bugs.
and I was late to the movies, and I was like.
Famously a bad place to be late.
Yeah, exactly. Like I got there and like everybody was like waiting for me at the concession stand,
No.
and I was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry."
So could you ride it home that day?
I did ride it home.
Okay.
I did like because now that it's broken down so many times, like I have like a full bike
Sure.
repair kit in my backpack. Like I have every
Safety
wrench that I
first.
need. Like I've got everything, and I know. Like I know I'm sounding really incompetent right now, but like I actually know how to like fix it now. But it's just like it's.
You know what she likes.
I know how to fix it for like a week period. And then
Yeah.
it kind of like pops out of place
Seems
again.
like maybe she's a little ornery.
Yeah, she is. But you know what? Like, so am I. So like, we're meant to
Completely.
be. Yeah.
I don't have a bike right now.
Oh.
And I think that I need to get when I moved here. Well, I like got a bike quite literally when I was in middle school, but I think it was way too big for me at the time. My dad was very much like, you got to grow into your bike, for some
Totally.
reason that was the move.
But like, that's not true.
Like, not at
You need to get
all.
one that fits you.
100%. Then you need to get a new one when you get big.
Yeah, that's like getting like a size 9 shoe as like a toddler, and like you'll grow into it.
Right.
Like,
It literally
yeah.
makes, in like 10 years.
Right. Exactly.
So then I kept that bike for quite literally forever. And I still had it when I was in Madison. It was bright fucking pink. And it was like a Fuji. It was one of those like roadie bikes where you quite literally don't have to step to get over it because it kind of like swoops all the way down.
Okay, that was like that yellow one. That's what I was trying to describe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it had like a huge seat. Like both cheeks can fit on there quite comfortably. But I would like try and ride that. Like James's parents love biking, like serious biking. Like they'll do 100-mile races. Like they
Yeah.
go on trips to like bike in Europe. They love
Like my
that
dad
shit.
does that stuff, and I'm like, what? Who can ride that far?
And I'm kind of like, I'm good for maybe 30 miles max.
Girl, I can do like 7, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm tired.
Well, and so we did this bike ride one time. You can start in Madison, and there's this cute little town called Paoli. People say it both ways. I actually don't know which one is correct. Cute little street, lots of little restaurants. It's like on a river, and there are like little shops you can go see. There's like a little cheese market.
Sounds
Super
amazing.
Wisconsin. And it's so cute.
Yeah.
And you can get there easily on a bike path. And I was like, me and my townie bike can do this. By the time that I got there, I was like, there is no fucking way that I'm going to eat a meal here and turn around and do this all over again. But I quite literally had no choice. There's not really another way to get back.
Yeah.
And James and his dad have like real bikes, whereas mine was kind of just for being cute. And I was kind of like, okay, style points did not win in this scenario. My
Right.
fucking ass hurts. Like, and I don't have the right shoes. Like James's dad is like clipping into the bike, the
Oh,
vibes.
that's like intense.
Yeah. So, and then I was like, I'm over biking. This is stupid. And then when we moved here, I was like, well, I need a new bike anyway, because I probably shouldn't be riding this like Fuji that I got when I was in 6th grade. And so I
Yeah,
left
time
it.
to upgrade.
And I think I gave it back to like a budget bicycle shop or something. I was like, y'all can have this. And I have been meaning to buy one ever since. But I don't think for me, biking in a city like this is going to ever be a mode of transportation. I think it will
Sure.
just be for pleasure.
That's fair. I'm like, for me, that was the case.
Yeah.
Until I like started having these dreams of selling my car.
Okay.
And like, I know you don't
That's
even
real.
really drive all that much. You're like
No, I
passenger
famously
princess.
I sort of hate driving.
Yeah. Like, how do you get around?
Yeah, I sort of just wing it.
It's like
I constantly
you
take the bus.
You're everywhere, but I'm like, how do you get there?
Yeah, I sort of Uber a lot, which is
Okay.
actually so bad on the wallet.
Right.
I have learned to love the bus.
Yeah, the bus is really great. I think because I live so close to like some great bike trails, it's like motivated me. And then like I meet people like our mutual friends who like they like
God, they bike
fucking
everywhere.
bike.
Yeah.
Like they bike, and I'm like
Anywhere
I
and everywhere.
want anywhere and everywhere. And it's like, oh, you need to get to like a concert. Like let me bike, because for me, I'm like, I'll bike like if I need to go to the lake, or like if I need, and
Yeah.
then like it really like changed for me when I started biking to work. And I show
Yeah.
up and I have like swamp ass,
Yeah.
and like I'm like stink, and like I'm famously like a pretty stinky boy. Like,
Okay, totally.
like if
I
I
don't
start,
know that about you.
well, yes, it like if I start sweating, like it is rank. Like I'm
Okay,
like
totally.
generally well put together, well manicured.
And you always look
I'm
amazing.
like I'm wearing cologne and deodorant,
Yeah.
but like the minute that I start like breaking a sweat, like it is. It is fucking nasty, and like it's always been that way. And
Sure.
like Stinky Boy is like a nickname for me because of that.
Wait, funny.
Yeah,
Who gave you that?
It's I don't really know where that one originated, but like
But it's stuck.
it's like yeah, it's stuck. And more recently, I just call that to myself. My old roommates, it must have originated before that. I don't know if it was like my parents or like siblings or what. But like my old roommates and I would have like this term. You know when you're like outside and it's like hot and you come inside, or like sorry, you're inside doing your thing and somebody has just been outside and they come in, you're like, woof.
Sure, 100%.
Well, we call that like outside boy or outside girl. So
Okay.
like you would walk in and like my roommates would be like, "You smell like outside boy," and like go
Yeah.
take a shower. Like the vibe. It's not
Absolutely.
like BO, but it's just like musk.
And like the sun being on your skin.
The sun, yeah,
all
and it's just
that.
like there's just something about it that's like different than smelling bad. But
For
it just kind
sure.
of, yeah. So like I don't know, it like kind of like stems from that as well.
That's funny.
I don't even know where I was going with this. Oh yeah, so I started like biking to work, and it's like just becoming the season where I can like bike to work again, and
Yeah.
I'm like trying to figure out because like I joined this run club, so I'm like already running the days that I go to the office.
Sure.
And I'm like, do I just start my day stinky and then like I'm already stinky for the run at 4:30 and like I just go for I don't know.
I mean, at that point, if you're kind of doing it 2 a day, I would say yeah.
I know, but then I'm like the entire day I'm like,
Sure.
hey, like try not to like raise my arms and like my back
That
sweats
does
like
suck.
a little bit.
If
yeah.
you feel conscious of it, do you have showers at work?
No.
Okay.
No, the thing is like because I was telling you earlier, like I work in like a condo building.
Right.
And there's like a gym in there, but it's like one of those private like
I see.
trainer only gyms. And so I've inquired about getting a membership. They don't give a fuck. They're like, no, like this is
Sure.
only for like people who pay $200 a month, which
Yeah.
I can't afford. So
Well, technically, your company probably pays way more than that.
exactly. But they like don't subsidize like a membership because
Sure.
like I would just love to like take a little shower.
For-
I
and
really would. And I
a
think it
little
would
rinse.
benefit everybody. I really
Yeah.
do. Like it would benefit me. It would like make people around me more productive because they're not like, damn, this guy fucking stinks. You know what I mean? But I'm also like, do I need to like forego the exercising? Because I love riding my bike to work. Like it
How
feels
long
great.
does it take you?
20 to 25 minutes.
Oh, that's
Of like
nice.
constant cycling. And
Is
there's like a lot of
that-
stop signs in between and stuff, you know.
Are you like worried you're gonna get hit by a car?
No, I'm more worried. I'm not worried about getting hit by a car. I'm worried about the cars that are parked on the right side of me that are going to open their door and like ding me.
I mean, and that's happened.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like that would honestly be far worse because like if I get hit by a car, at least like if it's like coming from behind me because I'm like going to be biking on the side of the street where the cars are
Right.
coming behind me, like maybe I have some room to like fly and like maybe lose a little momentum before I like hit
Sure.
something. But like if I hit those doors, like it's not even
You're
the
going
direction
right
that the
over the
door
door.
opens. Like I'm like crashing into this door and
Yeah,
I just like don't love that.
completely.
And we had like this presentation at work. Great, like these lunch and learns. Like this one girl did one about bike safety, and like I asked about that. I was like, my biggest because there's like really not that many protected bike lanes in Chicago,
Yeah.
and I think there's like a big initiative to get more of them, or like at least I think by like next year, like every bike lane is gonna at least have
Like the little
those like little
median-
like cone things,
Oh,
which is like
okay.
a great start. Like
Yeah.
it'd be nicer to have like a curb in between or
for
something.
sure.
But I was like, what, how do I protect myself from this? And they were like, well, like, you know, be vigilant, like listen for people like locking their doors and like look ahead and see
Totally.
like who's pulling in. But I'm like, how am I
Okay.
going to listen to my music?
Yeah.
Like literally I have to listen to pessimistic.
about my
best-
playlist?
Yeah. What about my playlist? I like, yeah. And like the consensus was like, get a speaker on your bike to listen to music out loud.
Okay,
I was
so
like,
then you're
I'm
that guy.
not gonna be that. And then I'm that guy, exactly. And like, there's nobody I talk more shit about in this world than the person who walks by with their speaker on
Completely.
full volume. Like, who the fuck do you think you are?
Because not everybody is on the same music vibe as you are.
No, and like, I have a better music taste than all of them.
For sure. Like, how
you,
dare
because we have the same music
taste? Yeah,
taste.
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can have our speaker out, you and I, together, the two of us. But that's
No, because our
it.
playlists are good.
The exact same.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's actually funny that you say that because I was walking behind a guy quite literally last night who had like a backpack that played music. Like it was like a speaker backpack.
Oh.
And I was like,
designed that way?
no, yeah, like the speaker was kind of like built into the mesh folds of this fucking.
Ain't no way.
And he was just like playing his music out loud and walking so slow too. And I was kind of like, why would you ever want to draw that much attention to yourself? When I am out on the street, I'm doing my best not to be perceived.
Yeah.
That's kind of the whole point.
Totally. No, totally. Exactly.
That's my only goal.
And being as popular as we are, like, we get perceived all the time.
No, like
but,
everyone's looking, watching, seeing.
I know. We had this guy on my college campus who was, and I still to this day, I don't know if this was a bit or if this was literally what this guy looked like.
Completely.
But he looked like Jesus, and he had like a beard, and he would wear like a long like
linen
thing. I really don't know much about Jesus personally, but like from what I've seen, like those whitewashed images that you see like in the church, he looked like that.
For sure.
And he would like blast music, and he would ride, I think he rode a skateboard or like one of those hoverboards, or it's like a penny board or something like that.
They always are on the hoverboards.
Yes, and he was like a sensation around campus. He could not have pissed me off more. Like every time I passed him, I was like, I'm literally so irritated by you. Like pop in some headphones.
No, like please.
And like, yeah.
You're already drawing attention to yourself because you're on like a one-wheeled device.
Exactly.
You're all set. People are going to look no matter what.
Exactly. And like, but I also went to like a conservative Christian school. So like everybody like lost their shit at the sight of
like
Jesus.
Floating Jesus.
Yeah. And I was like, it's really not that cool, guys.
He was playing like rock music. Probably like Christian rock music.
I think it was like Christian rock.
Yeah.
It was like, well, there was like a phase when I was like a Christian boy.
Oh, I remember hearing about this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was like intense for a while. I mean, like,
that's how religion will get you.
Yeah. And not to get like into the trauma like on this podcast, but like it ended very abruptly when I was like kind of like the parade, like I got the gay parade away basically by like a group that I was associated with.
That
or
sucks.
the attempt of it. Yeah, it was fucked up. It was like at a retreat for like this frat that I was joining. It was crazy.
And was the frat specifically affiliated with religion?
It was like a Panhellenic group, but it was like well known on campus for being like the ones that also did Bible study together.
I see.
But it was also the only, I don't know if this is like a thing, but like I feel like there was like a harsh divide between like the fratty, like I'm a dude bro, like I don't want to be around these queers, like we're just gonna like drink Natty Light, and like those people would like never bat an eye at like having someone like me join one of their organization. But then I feel like the people who were like definitely like queer questioning were like always absorbed by like these Christian groups on my campus, and I don't know if that was like my campus thing, but it was like I think we were just like vulnerable and like no shame to people who are like part of the faith and like found great community in that, but it was like very obvious because of like how many people joined that and then have like come out
for sure
as like gay or trans or just like any other facet of society that like generally wouldn't be accepted in that group, like if we were out on campus.
Well, and it probably is one of those things where they are kind of looking specifically for people to change. Like religion very much does that.
Totally. And it was like, yeah, once I put that all together, that's when I like ended up leaving. Yeah, but like long story short, we went to this retreat at a ranch because I grew up in Texas, like very rural area. We went to this retreat. It was like owned by an alum of this group. They were like hazing the shit out of us.
Of course.
And then like literally pulled me into a cornfield, and an alum came who had nothing better to do with their time than go back to college and be around college kids, and was like,
that is so fucking embarrassing.
I know. And if
that's what your life is, like if that is what you're choosing to do with your free time off now that you are a graduate,
right,
that is so sad.
It was super traumatic. It was like literally one of the worst days ever. But they pulled me into this cornfield, and when they were like basically like saying like they too struggled with what I struggled with in college, and it was literally like, you know, like Emperor's New Groove, like record scratch that happened in my brain. I was like, okay, like I just sat there and like took it. I was like, this is like, you're not converting me by any means. They were not getting the upper hand. But I immediately like faked an emergency, left, there was like one McDonald's.
Oh,
this was also the town that I got arrested in.
No way.
Yeah. A couple years later,
shit.
for underage. Well, I'll get to that story in a sec. But like, there was one McDonald's there. It's so funny because my mom I was talking to my mom today on FaceTime, and I was like telling her I was gonna do this podcast again, and she was like, send me the link, because she's gonna be a fan. But like literally the night that I got arrested there, she had to like come and like pick me up from the police.
I mean, my parents also had to pick me up when I got arrested.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I was so embarrassed in the moment, but I was like, this has happened. I tell this story like so embarrassed, and then all of my friends are like, oh, that happened to me too.
At the time, it was so traumatic.
It was, yeah.
And I felt like a massive failure. But
Same.
now it is a pretty good story.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like, maybe I slayed.
Get this. So this is okay. The Christian story ended with like me going to a McDonald's, getting like 2 cheeseburgers, like crying on the way home, waking up the next day declaring that I was like done with this. But the arrest story is kind of funny because it was Easter Day.
Okay.
And
no.
my mom was like seeing this person whose family lived like in a very rural, or like they had like a house like in a very rural area. Then I basically had to like drive through this small town to get back to my college campus. This was when I was going through like my bow tie, like vineyard vines, like wearing, I would wear like those short like those 5-inch J. Crew shorts, and then like a vineyard vines button up, and then like a vineyard vines like bow tie.
That is actually so funny because I feel like I've seen those photos, but I genuinely, with how you dress today, I cannot picture you getting up in the morning and putting those clothes on.
It's so funny. It's like I finally found myself in like this, like how I am and act, and like my style now is like very telling of who I am. But like that's why my birthday theme last year was like
God,
the Kyleverse, because like I've been through so many fucking phases, because like I think it was really hard for me to find out who I was, and like very glad I had like a family who embraced me through all of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was like coming home, and like I was 20. It's not yet 21. And for Easter, apologies if I've already told you this story, but like for Easter, my mom, instead of doing like an Easter egg hunt, we did like a pocket shot hunt.
That's iconic. Yeah. Mom's amazing.
And like my mom, like my parents both, like they're not like super helicoptery. Like they know that I drank, they know that I smoked weed like in high school and stuff. Like it wasn't like encouraged, like we want you to do this, but they weren't like, they didn't smite me because I did. And they were just
I feel like my parents were similar.
Yeah, they were just, my mom's rule was like, whatever you do, if you do drugs, you drink, whatever, like you better just call me for a safe ride home. Yeah. That was like her rule.
I mean, that's such a better way anyway, because I think ultimately that leads to your kid probably being smarter about their relationship with alcohol than if they're constantly hiding it and going behind your back, don't have a safe place to turn.
Totally. And going to like a Texas school where people were like had to hide all that stuff, I saw people go crazy.
For sure.
But yeah, I was like, I was driving my grandma's Mustang at the time.
Okay.
My grandma gave me her Mustang. And so, you know, like on the back of those cars, it's like almost like a horizontal back windshield because it's so slanted. You can see, I mean, if you're standing over it, you can see right into the car.
For sure.
And I got pulled over for speeding. I had like gone the highway. I like exited a highway that was like 75, and it got onto like a 55 or something like that, and I was going like 80 something. Like it was like, yeah. So I got
your ass.
He got my ass, and I also had a fake ID in my wallet. I had one of those like J. Crew wallets that like had the little, like the card, you can see like the top of the card, and I had like a license on either side. They were both Texas. The fake ID was someone else's real ID.
I had one of those in college too.
Like if you're gonna have a fake ID, at least have like a fake one. Like don't be impersonating somebody else.
I know, that's what I was doing, because that's quite literally a felony.
It's quite literally a felony.
That's identity theft.
Yeah, I had like committed so many crimes that day between like the speeding over 25, like having alcohol in my car, and like identity theft.
Happy birthday, Jesus!
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding. It's Easter,
Jesus.
but same difference.
Wait, that's not his birthday, right?
That's
the day he died.
Is his birthday.
Yeah.
Easter, he's risen.
Wait, risen. Sorry, he dies on Good Friday.
Yeah. So it's kind of like rebirth.
God, there's so much to think about.
Oh my God, I know.
But yeah, so long story short, I got pulled over for speeding. Thank God, like I pulled out the ID, and he was like, "Why do you have a second ID in your wallet?" I told him, I was like, "Oh, this is my friend's ID." It was just a friend's ID that I used at the bars.
Totally.
And that didn't become a problem, but he was like, "This ID says you're
good.
20. Why do you have alcohol in your backseat?" And I wasn't drinking. Like everything was closed. I wasn't drinking and driving. Excuse me, but because I had it, I got arrested.
No.
So he literally
I actually feel like that's bogus because if the cover is closed, I feel like you shouldn't actually be able to get in trouble.
Totally. But it's like, it's Texas and like,
Sure,
you know, it's the same thing, like anything, like it's crazy because like we can like walk around and like smoke weed out here. But if you did that in Texas, you'd like literally go to prison. And
100%.
Like, that's crazy. It's crazy. And things with like female rights and stuff. It's just crazy how like across state lines, like things
It's
are
so
different.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I got arrested and I had to call my mom. I mean, they let me keep my phone and everything. I was literally just like sitting there and my mom came and like picked me up and
so you were actually like in jail though.
I went to the jail.
Okay, totally.
Yeah, like I went to the jail. Like
crazy.
I wasn't just like sitting on the side of the road. Like I think my
Right.
car got towed and we not only like or impounded or whatever, but like they had the next day my mom had to like get my car back. And I wasn't like book. I don't even know what it was like weird because like what you see on TV where they like put you in like a jail cell and they like take all your stuff away and like that didn't happen to me, but I was literally just like sitting in this room for hours and I was like 2 hours.
Alone?
I was alone. Yeah.
Okay.
I was it was and where my mom was still like 2 hours away. So by the time she got like her shit together and came, like I was just sitting there. I was on Snapchat. I remember like turning my location off and like turning my Snapchat location off because I was like, my friends are gonna see that I'm at like the Hearn County Jail. Like I don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah. So
God, snap maps.
Good old snap maps.
Well, that's funny because I also got arrested. They did take all of my things, but it was campus police. I think I told you this story already. I actually don't think I've told it on the pod.
I can't wait.
I also like, it is crazy to me that I am the one that got arrested out of all my friends because my friends are fucking nuts. Like truly, my friends are crazy.
From what I've heard, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the fact that it was me, I was like, you're gonna pick the most innocent.
It's always the good kid.
Literally.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it probably wasn't like the most innocent, but I was up there.
Yeah.
And I was drinking. This had to be freshman or maybe sophomore year. I honestly can't remember now. But
was this long hair, Sam?
I had like a bob.
Okay.
And I was probably like 18 or 19. And I got hammered before it was even like 7 a.m. And it was a game day. And quite literally the last thing I remember is like Jason Derulo playing over the speaker. Like, and after that, I think
Is that like
I
a
blacked
game day
out.
song?
No, I think we were just at like a pregame, and I just remember hearing Jason Derulo belt across the speaker, and then that was kind of it. And then I made it into the stadium somehow. And I just kind of remember coming to, I'm in the bleachers sobbing, and I turned to James and I was like, I think it's time for me to go. And he was like, yeah, obviously nothing to cry about at a football game. And so we were like, for sure gonna leave. James is gonna walk me back to my dorm, or I don't even know where we were gonna go, but we're exiting and I scurried ahead. As
you
drunk
do.
girls do.
Yeah.
And I like probably just looked so hammered, and at that point I looked all alone, and the campus police like stopped me and they were like, how old are you? And I said 21, and then they were, when's your birthday? Mm-hmm. So of course I'm trying to think of something that would make me 21. I said July 23rd, which is true. 1921. I literally was like, that'll get him. Yeah, that's for sure the right answer. And
she's
he was like,
oh, she's 121 years old. Okay, got it.
So they were like, obviously you need to turn around, put me in for real handcuffs, which was so crazy.
Damn.
And then pretty much brought me into what is colloquially known as like Bucky jail.
Right. In the stadium, right?
It's in the stadium.
Yeah.
And it's crazy in there because it's like the little drunk tank that's like at the stadium, and there are all these fucking people in there, and they actually still let you watch the game. It's on the TV.
That's the most iconic part of that story, is that you're like still watching the Badgers play.
And I remember I got brought in, and there was actually a girl who had gone to my high school. She was probably like 4 years older than I was. She was definitely over the age of 21, but I think she was probably just like under there on like public indecency or something.
Sure.
And I just remember getting seated by her. They chain you to your little chair. And I'm like sobbing. She's like, it's going to be okay, honey. I was like, this is so crazy. This is literally so crazy. But then they took all my things, and I was kind of like, that seems dramatic. They even plucked the headband off of my head.
Whoa.
I was like, what do you think I'm going to do with that?
Yeah.
I can't reach it. And they took my phone, And then I just remember that they were like, okay, you need to call somebody to come and get you. And I was like, well, James is literally outside. And they were like, well, then call his ass. And I was like, well, I'm hammered and scared and I don't remember his phone number.
And like, who remembers phone numbers anymore?
No, literally. That's quite literally what my phone is for. There's contacts.
Right, exactly. There's like an app for that.
And so, of course, the only phone number I could remember was my dad's. And so I ended up calling him.
Your sweet dad.
He comes down to get me. And well, first I asked them, like, can you please take off the handcuffs before we go out to my father? And they were like, no. Like, you sick fucks. I was like, please take these off. And I walked out there with my handcuffs. He's never looked so disappointed in me in his whole life. And then James is just kind of standing there like, I don't know what to do. I don't even think they spoke. And my dad was just like, get in the car. I was like, totally. James like kind of was like, bye. And my dad brought me home. I like slept for a while, sobbed and sobbed and sobbed.
Take you back to like your campus living or like home, like
my parents' house.
Got it.
Yeah. Cried and cried and cried, slept it off, woke up. My dad was like, I'm bringing you back downtown. We didn't talk about it. And my parents just brought me back downtown. And then I had to sign up for like an, one of those like, you're an alcoholic classes.
Right.
Made a couple cool friends in there. And then it was actually really funny because probably like 3 or 4 weeks later, my dad had come down to get lunch with me on campus. We went to the Rocky Rococo's Classic, which is pretty near the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this woman who was in line, kind of like a bigger, stout woman, hefty. And my dad is like, I think that's the woman that arrested you.
Oh my God.
And I would like to get a picture. So the two of us literally are sitting there like... And we never spoke about it since. Like, that was kind of it. He was very much like that, stoic, didn't really like to address issues.
Sure.
I feel like me and my mom talked about it quite a bit because she was like, do you have a problem?
That is so fucking funny.
It was so crazy.
I don't think like my parents and I talked about it either.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I'm one of 5 kids. I think like 3 or 4 of my sisters have been arrested too,
okay, totally.
like for like various things.
Seems maybe easy in Texas.
Yeah, and like, I do remember like years later, I'm like, I go to grad school, like I'm finally getting my first job. And I remember like afterwards, my mom one day calls me and is like, if anybody ever asks if you were arrested, the answer is no.
Okay.
Like it is not on your record. It is not on
fire.
It literally, and I never asked questions. Like I don't know what wizardry she pulled, but I remember like my first job was
she has something over them.
Literally, and my first job was as a teacher. Mind you.
Sure.
And so like I'm doing my background check for a teacher, and like the question is like, have you ever been arrested? And I think the question was like, have you ever been like convicted of a felony?
Sure.
Which that was not even in the question, but like I think there was a question about like, have I ever been booked or anything like that? And I remember like finger shaking, like going to click this application.
Completely.
And I said no, and I passed the background check.
Oh my God, amazing.
So like I don't know what happened. Thank you,
Mama.
Mom. Like I know she's gonna listen to this later, so like thank you, whatever the hell you did. Thank you.
Completely.
Yeah.
Well, I will say you're a good kid.
Yeah. Ish.
So
my mom's a
made
homie
a
though. Yeah. So like, yeah, I could.
There are people doing much worse things.
That's true. That's true.
If you put it in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
crazy shit.
Completely.
Oh my God. Sorry. Not to like keep going off of this topic.
Please.
There's one more thing that happened in this town. This
No way.
small fucking town that like somewhat has like a literal chokehold over me. So like literally like dropped out of Christianity in this town, got arrested. And then the third thing that happened is like the year after that, I became a camp counselor.
Okay.
And that's where I met like Patrick, all these people we were talking about earlier. There was this one guy in there who was in a frat. And he, in his fraternity, he was the chicken pledge of his frat.
What does that mean?
It means that for every party that they had, he would go to this town, to this chicken farm, and he would get 10 live chickens.
10?
10. And they would bring them.
He's
Texas,
stealing
baby.
them.
No, he bought them. They're $10 a piece.
Okay.
Literally would go and get 10 chickens, and then they would bring them to the frat parties, and then people would like take pictures with them, hang out with them.
Live chickens?
Live chickens. Texas. It's just like a thing that we do.
Totally.
So we go to breakfast one morning, It's like 6 a.m. and I'm like with a couple of friends and him, and he's like talking about like having to go get these chickens, and my dumb ass is like, well, I want a chicken. I was living in a house with 4 guys.
Totally.
We had like, I mean, it was crazy because it was literally a 4-bed, 3-bath house, full backyard, a shed, a patio, a 6-car driveway.
Oh my God.
Front yard,
Texas.
literally everything. And I paid $400 a month in rent. I know, disgusting. That's why I had no concept of money when I moved to this fucking town. And like, they're like, you have to pay $1,800 for like a shoebox. I was like, oh, okay.
Says who?
Right.
Everything's
and so,
bigger in Texas.
Everything's bigger in Texas. So I like, yeah, I was like the person who was like going to make that happen. So I went and bought a chicken that day. And I brought it to like this a live chicken. And we like this group and I like went to the lake that day. And I was like, the chicken was $10. Drove 45 minutes to this town, bought this chicken for $10. Cutest thing ever.
Of course.
And she like, I took her to the lake, and it's like all of where I'm at is like forests, pastures, farms, and stuff. So I was like, if this chicken runs away,
there's good
she's
stuff
gonna be
out
with
there.
her people.
Yeah.
Like honestly, there's good stuff out there. We like bonded. I think I remember I like looked her in the eyes and I was like, it's you and I.
Oh my God.
And like we bonded. And like literally I would set her on the ground, and wherever I would go, she would like walk right next to me. I would put a leash around her ankle. I would put like a little piece of twine, and I would take her on walks around the neighborhood.
No way.
Swear to God.
So you had a pet chicken.
I had a pet chicken. Yeah, it was like a real thing. And so I got this chicken in that town. That's like what prompted this story. So
okay, so one good thing came out of the town.
One good thing came out of this town.
Can I ask how long you had the chicken?
2 months.
Okay, totally.
And this is what happened. So that this was like April that this happened. Whenever Father's Day is that June?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was summer. Classes were over. As a camp counselor, like we had all this shit to do through the summer. We had like these work weekends. We would have these trips we would do together. It was a work weekend. And so like I had this big ass house. I had like offered all these people to come stay with me, but we were like basically doing all of the work that we had to do like at somebody else's house. Like we were like painting banners, acting out skits, like writing our little like emergency plans or whatever. And we're leaving the house one day, and there's this note on my door, and it's from the police department. And I was like, they're about to get me again.
100%.
Yeah, like
me
and the police of Texas, not on a good, not on good terms.
Completely.
Fuck them. And it was like a door hanger, and it had like all these options, and like they were like check boxes, and the last box was checked that said animal control unit, please see reverse. And so I flipped the card over, and it was like literally this handwritten note that was like, hello, my name is Officer so-and-so. Like, I observed a chicken roaming around your backyard. Like, you do not have a permit for this chicken. You have until this date to like for it to not be here. And that date was Father's Day. So it was like 10 days before that.
Okay.
And so I was like, fuck. And like, I didn't have a coop. I didn't have anything. She was not laying eggs. It was a baby chicken.
Okay.
My roommate was like a big hunter, like a
Okay.
game hunter. Wait, is that when you hunt deer?
I think that's maybe when you hunt like crazy animals.
Oh no, he just hunted like deer and stuff.
Yeah.
He would like, but she had like one of those big like deep freeze that you like open from the top, but there's like a motor on the back and it's like warm. So she would just like sit on this fridge at night, and it was like warm enough for her to roost, and she would like sing in the morning. I fucking loved her. Her name was Tissy, short for rotisserie.
Wait, that's iconic.
I know. I'll show you pictures after we're done filming this. I loved her. But basically, long story short, like I had to get rid of this chicken. I asked everywhere because like people on campus like had coops. I don't know how they got like permits for them, but I was like, can anybody take this chicken? Like, I don't fuck with like animal cruelty. Like I'm not about to like go like toss it in the middle of nowhere or something like that. Or some people were like, just like slaughter it in your backyard. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Right, like I actually can't because this is my pet.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, you're never going to catch me killing an animal. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to do that. So this girl, like, her family adopted it. They had a farm, like, in
well, that's nice.
Belleville, Texas. Not
Oh my God,
Wisconsin,
amazing.
yeah, but like, I drove this chicken out there. So anyway, fast forward. I get years of like updates from this girl. Like her like grandparents would be holding it. Like when I traded her off, like they gave me like a carton of fresh eggs and like all these veggies from their garden. Like it was like such a sweet. I was like, I'm so happy about this.
Yeah, she's going to a good place.
Yeah, fully knowing that chickens live like 5 years.
Totally.
And that time has passed since then.
For
So
sure.
this friend visited this past weekend, and we went and picnicked at the lake.
Oh.
And I was like, somebody like brought up like chicken as we were talking about like a restaurant or something and chicken, and I was like, boop. I was like, how's Tissy doing? And she literally closes her eyes and was like, I knew you were gonna ask that. And she was like, well, she stopped producing eggs and like it was time for a round of slaughter. So I just found out that my pet got slaughtered.
Okay, totally.
Yeah. So like, sorry to bring down the vibe, but like I just found that out because I've like all this time I'm like, oh my God, like I had a pet chicken in
For
college. I showed
sure.
pictures and like she's made her way back. I'd like to hope that she became like a Cane's chicken finger box or something, but like,
Completely.
yeah.
I will
That's
say,
where we're at.
least like she went to a good home, lived a good life. Like if you
Yeah.
think about in comparison to like probably all of the chicken that we actually eat from the store, who are growing up on like probably the saddest farm you ever
Exactly.
seen.
Like no room to like move around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But that shit is crazy.
That's why we ate a vegetarian meal tonight.
100%.
Because you know we're not feeding.
We're
into
Team
that.
Tissy.
We're Team Tissy. Yeah.
It's funny that you say that because my mom right now, her neighbors have chickens, and in Madison, well, the limit on chickens used to be like in the city, I think you could only have like 4, maybe 6.
Okay.
And
That sounds like a lot.
kind of a lot.
Yeah.
And you had to have the permit, coop, all those things. And then and that was within city limits. You couldn't have a rooster because they're loud.
Right.
You know, there are all these rules. And our neighbors, I think the limit has since increased to maybe like 8.
Okay.
But our neighbors
It's a damn lot of eggs.
have like 12 chickens, okay? And you know, you kind of like order the chickens and they come as little chicks and you get more than you think because usually they don't all survive.
Right. It's kind of like a gamble. Yeah. I get it.
And so, but more of them survived than not. And so they ended up having like way over the limit of chickens, but nobody really said anything. So I think they just kept them.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom was like, okay, these neighbors have like a fucking farm going on right next door. It's like kind of
literally
crazy.
old McDonald
No,
sound and ass.
literally.
Like, oh my God.
And they have all these chickens. And I guess one of them got eaten by something, like some
Yeah.
animal. I don't know what it was, like got one of the chickens. And so our neighbors had posted on Facebook, which my mom is famously obsessed with.
I've
And,
heard that.
you know, posted something along the lines of like, rip Samantha. And my mom was freaking out that she was like, I can't believe they named a chicken after you, like after our daughter, and that she died. And they're saying all these things. And I was like, Mom, these neighbors moved in after I was long gone. I guarantee you I've met them twice. They did not name this fucking chicken after me.
Your mom has like a personal vendetta against these people.
And she's like, rip Samantha. She still is telling the story constantly. Like, she's so obsessed with these people and their chickens.
That is so funny.
Crazy. So yeah, there is technically a chicken that may or may not have been named after me, who also technically got slaughtered by someone or something. Yeah, literally.
You know, it's like I love having friends like you that are from like Wisconsin. Like, would you consider where you're from rural?
Not necessarily, but I feel like
Okay.
it's suburban enough where people are kind of like glamorizing the rural lifestyle.
Okay, yeah. See, and like I feel like that's kind of like, I mean, I grew up in Austin, but I went to school in like a pretty rural but like suburban.
sure.
Yeah, it was like a big camp. Yeah, but it was like I say these things about like owning like livestock and like that kind of stuff, and
All
some
of
people are like,
Wisconsin's
what the
that
hell are
to
you
an
talking about? But
extent.
then I have friends like you, and like, who would have thought that Chicago would be filled with like Wisconsin
That's
people who
so
are like,
true.
oh, I get what you're saying, you know? Yeah.
So true. I'm like, should we get chickens?
I would love, like,
fresh
imagine
eggs
having
would just
chickens
sort
on
of be
your roof.
amazing.
Oh my God, I know. And
Yeah.
like, I'm just waiting with whatever this avian flu H5N1 bullshit that's happening right now.
For
The eggs are
sure.
about to skyrocket. I went to the store
I know,
today and they were
scary.
still $1.99. I was like, thank God.
That was like during COVID when they went up to like $8.
Yeah, I was like, and I eat famously probably 30 eggs a week.
I mean, honestly, maybe same. I was not a big egg girl until I met James. Like, my parents said every once in a while I'll make a scramble, but we weren't doing anything crazy. James, that motherfucker loves eggs.
Yeah, that motherfucker does. I've
Yeah.
seen him eat eggs before.
Loves eggs.
I use them for baking. I use them for,
So true.
we used one tonight to like seal our pasta dough. Like,
Yeah.
they're just like, they're great to have. And like,
And even an actual egg forward dish, I'm kind of like, I don't know how I was having breakfast without eggs prior.
I don't know how you were doing that either, because to me, breakfast is eggs
Eggs.
with things on the side.
For sure.
Like, I love a scramble. I love hard boiled eggs. Like,
So do I.
it's just good shit. Like,
Honestly.
yeah.
I love eggs. Maybe we have to get
I
chickens.
know.
Crazy.
Because like I remember when I was told that like our governor Greg Abbott, who by the way, look at the camera, fuck Greg Abbott.
Completely.
But
that guy sucks.
He's so bad.
Yeah.
But I had heard that there was like an ordinance that he put in to place, or whatever the legal term would be, that like anybody in Texas could own a chicken. So like I heard that, probably saw a tweet, and I was like,
and you're like, all right,
it's
here
legal.
goes for my $10.
And then I bought a chicken, and then yeah, like the police like
Well,
pwned
he's
me.
spreading rumors.
He is spreading rumors, and like I don't know,
course
do I
he is.
distrust Greg Abbott or the police more?
So
That's a
true.
tough- that's a tough
actually
call.
really quite the toss up.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, both of them lied at some point. So
For sure.
and
Never
both
to be
of them
trusted.
tried to fuck with me, and look who came out on top.
So true.
Boom.
And I love that about you. Okay, well, I would love to get into your good, bad, ugly.
Okay.
I think we should start with your good.
Okay. Just so do I just like say what good things are happening? Or like-
Yeah, give me your good, walk me through it, and then we can kind of see where that takes us.
Yeah. I think like a lot of good recently. I was thinking about
Hell
this. I was
yes.
listening to a couple of your episodes today in the shower, like trying to get inspiration.
For sure.
But like life feels good right now. And I like, it's not because like everything that's happening to me is good, but I feel like I've just like grown to this point where I feel good about the things that life is throwing at me. Like I
That's
started dating
great.
again. That feels really good. I'm very happy with that.
I
Like,
can tell that you are, and that makes me happy.
and I'm
too.
just like, I'm so happy with that, with my relationship. Like that's been just like such a treasure. And like I complain a lot about my job and like not making a lot of money, but at the end of the day, like I work with good people and I do good things with my job. I do fun creative things, and like
For sure.
at my old workplaces I was like, I just want a creative job, I just want to
Yeah.
do this, and now I'm like 3D printing. Like it's just like stuff, it's like it's good, and like it's so easy to focus on all the things that could be better or all the things that are going wrong, but I'm
Of
like I'm just like
course.
choosing this year to like really focus on the good, and like I'm
That's so
happy, I'm
great.
healthy, I'm like I'm like I love my cat, like and I'm moving in with my best friend, and like I'm just like there's so much good happening.
I mean, I think that that's so amazing. And it's so, I feel so lucky to know so many people who I feel like we're all kind of in that space right now, because
Yeah.
it feels so like mutually, I can feed off of that, off of your good energy too. And it's really, it's just so nice. Like I'm so happy to be the age that we are.
Yeah.
And kind of have like the mental outlook that I do. And I mean, I wake up most days feeling just so lucky to have landed in this city and have met all the amazing people that I have. So
Yeah.
that's
And
so good.
And like I think that's important that you said that too, because like I don't think it was because I woke up one day and was like, I'm looking at the good now, but it's like
yeah,
you and I mutually have great people that we surround ourselves
For
with,
sure.
who like really challenge each other to like see the good and do good and put good back in the world. And like I feel very like empowered by the people I'm surrounded with, and just
So
like
true.
it makes everything else so much easier. It makes the hard stuff, it makes the bad stuff like maybe just mediocre, and it makes the mediocre stuff like good.
I agree.
And like that feels good.
It does. Well, what's like one thing, I know you said kind of like this year, you're just feeling really excited about, you know, all the things to come. What's like the one thing that is making you particularly excited?
Yeah, I think, as cliche as this sounds, summer.
So true.
And it's not just because it's like I'm thinking of like summer, like High School Musical, but it's like the winters are so bad here that
Yeah.
it's like you kind of lose like your sense of self if you don't like
Oh,
really
absolutely
have like outlets. And like this winter, I like money's been tighter for me this year since I switched jobs, and like
For
I haven't
sure.
had really the opportunity to travel and like get out and like and I've just been kind of like in this cycle of like I have a great home, I've like a very comfortable space, but this one was like just a little harder than normal. And not because like I've been
Yeah.
like, it wasn't like the worst winter I've ever had, but it was like I just had such high hopes going into it, and it just was still a dud like they always are.
for sure.
And
It is hard too when you feel like you've been in your house for like too long. I mean, no
Yeah.
matter, I think no matter how nice your house is, how big it is, how much room you have to spread out, like at the end of the day, it does feel like you're not getting out, you're not seeing people, you're not like, you know, smelling fresh air.
Right. Yeah. And like I think I worked on so many things last year that I wanted to, like I I proved to myself that I can like have a companion, and like I think I'm like a great companion to my cat.
I
And,
don't
like,
doubt that for a second.
I fucking love her. And like I invested in my hobbies like very heavily over the winter, and like I feel like I'm just like emerging as like a much better iteration of myself. I have like great new skills. I've been like textiles has been one of them. I've been like last year I couldn't like alter clothing and like make things from scratch. Like that apron you wore tonight, I was like, you were wearing it and I was like, you look cute in that, and like I fucking made that. And I was like really proud of that, you know? And like I just like this year I'm like excited to just like live in like the body of this like 20 something who's like is kind of figuring it out. And
that's such a good feeling.
Yeah, and it's like we have volleyball starting, and like it's good stuff.
I think that's one of the nice things about getting a little older too, and just being a little bit more sure about who you are and feeling more comfortable kind of like exploring that, versus I feel like, you know, in your early 20s you're kind of still figuring it all out.
Yeah.
And in your late 20s you have some of it figured out, and now you're kind of delving deeper into the things that you know that you're interested in, and that's really special because that kind of exploration is so much deeper and more interesting, and I think it teaches you a lot more.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. It's creative. Maybe not for everybody. Some people have different interests, but I know that that's yours, and I would say same.
Totally.
And I feel
We're
lucky
very
to
aligned
be
in a lot of things. I
completely.
think. Yeah.
And I feel very lucky to be surrounded by so many creative folks too, because I think that just like the fact that now so many of our friends have gone and like taken a cool class or like done something to kind of like expand.
Right.
Like that's fucking sick.
And speaking of like the friends who have like been pushing each other, it's like so funny because like now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like at least 6 or 7 of us have like taken a class from like the same teacher, because we're like, oh my God, I did this and it was so fun. You should try it. And now we've all like, it's just like cool that we're doing that shit. Yeah. I just love it.
Okay, well, hilarious because that was so wholesome, but now I want you to get into your rad.
You know what I'm about to say? This girl that lives below me.
I hope she's listening.
I hope she's listening. You know what? I hope you're listening to this because I can't stand you. For context,
suck to have a bad neighbor.
Yeah, for context, I have this neighbor who has been constantly reporting me.
The reporting of it all is sort of like way too official.
It's too like narc. Like, who the fuck do you think you are? And like, I get if you have a qualm and like maybe she's not super comfortable knocking on my door, like
saying it to your fucking face,
saying it to my fucking face. Like, I wish she would, because I would say something back to her. But like, no, I'm like, I get it. Like, sometimes you got to make the phone call or you got to send the email. But like, they're so constant and like they're just like misattributed, and like I'm getting these email. I know I've already explained this to you. I'll explain it again for like the sake of this.
For the listeners.
For the listeners. Yeah. Because I want you guys to know this and like pick a side and like tell me what to do. Like the first week I moved in on like a Thursday or Friday. Mm-hmm. I got an email Monday morning that was like, you have a noise complaint against you. I didn't have shit in my apartment yet. Like,
for sure.
I had everything in boxes, and like I understand at that point things are probably echoey and like.
But you're brand new and you're unpacking.
I'm brand new and I'm unpacking. Like, give me some grace. But it was for like loud TV sound. Mm-hmm. Bitch, I didn't own a fucking TV yet. Like I like bought my TV on Marketplace like weeks later. Like I went a while without one, and I was like, I felt weird about that, and it made me very cautious, and then like scared because I was so excited to be living on my own. It was my first time living by myself. Literally day 3. I'm like, I'm so free. Like I can do whatever I want.
And then the narc.
And then the narc next door is like, hey, like I'm monitoring you. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I have to like be uncomfortable in my own skin again. Like I'm like tiptoeing around, and like I want to be courteous.
Be your space.
It's supposed to be my space, and like I don't think I'm an obnoxious person by any means. Like, sure, like I'm super receptive to feedback, and like if I'm doing something that is like really irking somebody or making a sound or like I don't know, but like after that I got a TV installed. I started like I got a new shelf to move my speakers so they're not touching the ground and echoing. I put in a new carpet, rug, whatever.
See, honestly,
I've been doing things to dampen sound, like, and then I'm getting like more reports. Like this week, they've happened. Like I've gotten reported like when I got a dishwasher installed by like the literal management company dragging a new dishwasher through my
For
unit.
sure.
Got reported for that.
Some things are just loud.
Some things are just loud. And like, we live in Chicago. We live in like a pretty bussin' neighborhood.
For sure.
Like,
sirens are going by, people are yelling,
literally,
like shit is happening constantly.
We have like these, like, I live next to a parking garage. Like, there's like teenagers that go up there with like speakers and like smoke cigs and like listen to music. You know what? Good for them.
Of course.
And it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna open my window and smell your little cigarette smoke, and I'm gonna listen to your music because it's really not that bad. And like, this is what the city life.
You're the vision of youth.
Exactly. I was doing that shit too. I was going out to Mount Bunnell in Austin, Texas with my friends, smoking a joint, listening to Kid Cudi when I was in high school too, you know? And yeah, this weekend I got reported. It was because I got home from a little like surprise birthday thing, made myself a little dinner, dropped my food, vacuumed it up at 10:45 p.m. I only know it was at 10:45 because it was written in the report that I got reported on. And then I get this email Tuesday morning, something like that was like, hey, Kyle. At this point, the property manager is like, hey, Kyle, got another complaint on you, because it's like become that casual at this point.
Sure.
That like there was loud dropping and vacuuming at 10:45 p.m. As a reminder, quiet hours start at 11. And I'm like,
so it's before quiet hours.
So it's before quiet hours. Am I not allowed to vacuum? Even if it was 11, can I not do a quick? I wasn't vacuuming like crazy. I was like, zoom, zoom, done.
Well, it's one of those things where if it's not like you're doing the whole house when you're not supposed to, sometimes there's an accident and you just need to do a quick vacuum.
Right. There was onions in my food. Onions are toxic to cats.
Absolutely.
Can I not vacuum my fucking...
I know.
And it's like, yeah, it's a hardwood floor. It's probably like louder, but like, it's just stuff like that. And then like I got actually 3 reports this weekend. One
That's
for that,
insane.
one for loud music. Okay, I did blast Karma by Jojo Siwa at a little pregame that I had. Literally one song, turn it up, sue me.
For sure.
Because I was like, guys, listen to this song.
Sort of an
and
icon.
then it was like, this needs to be turned off. Like, I don't even think we listened to the whole song. We just needed to listen to it.
Yeah.
And then
it's
for
sort
like
of a teachable moment.
walking loudly past her door and like talking loudly. And I'm like, okay, we have to take 2 whole flights. I live on the 3rd floor. We have to take 2 full flights of stairs down, and then we exit the building. And by the way, I live in a bar district.
For sure.
So like, there's people screaming outside
there are people
anyway.
doing much crazier things.
There are people doing much crazier things.
That's one of those ones too where it's like the amount of time that actually takes is 2 seconds. I will be out of your hair faster than you can even actually say, excuse me, please be quiet.
People like even came into my apartment to put their shoes on, and then we left because I'm like holding snips. Like, I don't need her to like get out of the apartment. I was like, come in, put your shoes on, everybody exit, I'm gonna hold her. Like, it was a very fast exchange.
For sure.
But it's at the same time, I'm like, I don't feel like I need to defend that to anybody.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm like typing this email out to her, like, this is what I was doing, and then I'm like, wait, fuck this. Like,
I know.
Nobody needs this account of what I'm doing. I'm living my life. But yeah, but the thing that like irked me the part that I found bad about this was like when I called this woman, as soon as I got the report, I called her. I wanted to talk it through. She described like what she said was that she's like, the tenant has been telling us that like you've been getting much better with like your sound, as if like I'm being constantly...
She's delivering a weekly status update. Yeah.
And I'm like, that sounds like super invasive.
Yeah.
And like,
stop listening. Mind your fucking business.
Mind your fucking business. Like,
Yeah.
I'm doing like, of all the things that I'm doing in my apartment that could be like screaming, shouting, moaning, whatever, like, you're getting mad that I
100%.
dropped a bowl of rice.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Shit happens.
Shit happens. Yeah.
Also, if you live in a shared space, it's one of those things where I think that just has to be expected. Like, you cannot police somebody on just existing in their house. That's actually not allowed.
You can.
And you pay rent just as much as she does, if not more, depending on
Yes.
how long she's been there.
Yes. And like, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, even though I'm like so irked by this. I'm like, maybe this girl is like in mental health crisis. Maybe she's
Sure.
agoraphobic. I do think she's chronically indoors. I never see or hear her leave.
Yeah.
There will be packages sitting in our foyer for like weeks. And I'm like,
Sure.
she's been reporting me these times, but like her mail is still there. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I really do think that there's something deeper to this. But at the same time, I'm like having a trouble. Like,
It still sucks.
it still sucks because like I'm trying to
annoying.
discern like this like irritation that I'm getting, and like I'm also far beyond being irritated. Like, I can get over that. I'm worried that like this is gonna like fuck up like my ability to live here and
For
like
sure.
retain my lease, you know, which is why I sometimes feel so like I feel like it's so necessary to like defend myself.
Yeah.
So I'm not like get an eviction notice on my door.
Of course,
'cause I
especially if that was
vacuumed
out
at
of the blue.
10:45 p.m. Yeah.
Well, and it's like at a certain extent, if she's doing this constantly, you have to kind of assume that
It's not.
they know that she's like maybe
Right.
being a little crazy.
And like when I spoke to this woman, it did seem like it was like a formality. Like, I have to tell you this. Because when I was talking about the vacuuming, I was like, this is not even quiet hours. She was like, I was just giving you that as context. Like, this is what this girl is telling us.
Sure.
But you know what I did the next day? I vacuumed in the morning and I vacuumed at night within the quiet hours.
Love
I did
it.
need a good vacuum, and then I like spilled some coffee grounds. I needed to vacuum again. I was like, I can sweep this, but I'm gonna vacuum it.
And it's
that
during
was
quiet
petty.
hours.
That was petty of me. But no, it was like not even quiet hours. So I was like, yeah, I
Amazing.
was like, I'm still gonna be
Yeah.
honest in here, but yeah.
For sure. Sometimes you just kind of have to, you got to show them a little something.
I gotta show him a little something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're not messing around.
Me on ChatGPT, like, how do I calmly and like
Right, express
legally,
X, Y, and Z.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
like,
ChatGPT is
live
so
my
good for
life.
that.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's like my little buddy who tells me what to say, who tells me what kind of salad to make for the dinner we're having tonight.
Totally training this algorithm to like outdo us one day, but
100%.
for right now, it's working.
It's really supporting me.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, I'd love to get in your ugly.
Oh, the ugly. This one was like hard to think about.
This one comes easiest to me.
Really? I don't know if this is like a me ugly thing per se.
Mm-hmm.
I think this year is going to be ugly.
Okay.
I think this fall, it's an election year. And
so
like,
true. Completely ugly.
I was listening. I mean, I think you and like Carol talked about this a couple podcasts ago, and like, it's just constantly like I've also become like a New York Times boy, like very heavily this year. It started because I do the crossword every day. Then I started doing all the games. Then
for sure.
Then I did
I'm
New York
Wordle
Times
and
cooking.
Connections girl.
Yeah. Oh, Strands.
I haven't played it.
Oh, we're gonna play that later.
Okay.
It's free too.
Love.
But like,
I am thinking about buying the subscription.
you should. It's
Yeah.
like it's so worth it. Riley and I have been like waking up every morning and then like we'll like be like good morning, and then like pull out our phones and like see who can do like the mini faster
For
and like
sure.
what order. It's like so fun. But yeah, I feel like this year is gonna be ugly, and I'm a little scared for it. I just remember how like
Yeah.
vile 2020 was, and
That's
as much
so
as I can
real.
be like, you know, Twitter's gonna be funny, like the memes are gonna be funny, like it's sad because I'm like recognizing like how affected people, like I lived in like such a bubble in college.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I voted was in 2016.
Yeah,
Same for you?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would have been freshly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, this guy sucks, and I was like, I'm
Yeah.
not voting for him. But like in the end, it like didn't seem. It seemed like kind of like far out for anything
Oh
to
my
like really
God.
affect me.
For sure.
And then like I became a little more realized in the 2020 election.
Yeah.
And and I became much more aware of like how every decision affects like marginalized communities and like communities that like
Completely.
I am a part of, communities I'm not a part of, like the neighborhoods in the city that I live in, like just all of those things. And it started weighing on me. And this year I just feel like it's that times 10.
Yeah,
and I'm
I
worried.
agree. I am scared of that too, and I think it's so interesting because there was a part of me that I feel like I'm almost like blacking it all out. Like I feel like 2020 was honestly so crazy. I just was so 2016. I got so politically involved for probably the first time in my life.
Yeah, same.
And I just remember feeling so helpless.
Mm-hmm.
I was consuming so much news. I was in a really interesting work environment where my boss and I very much disagreed, and it was such like a kind of crazy time anyway, especially once the pandemic happened, because I feel like that polarized people quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so not only did we have a very polarizing president at the time, but like the just kind of general status of the world was so crazy.
Yeah.
And
You could feel it in the air.
Oh
It was
my
so
gosh,
tense.
it was so tense.
Yeah.
Like completely that was how it felt, and everything sort of had that taste in it. Like everything was tense. It was very hard to not think about politics at the time. And I just remember feeling I got so tired. And then I think when 2020 rolled around and we got Biden as president, even though that was not like my first choice by any means, I was like, okay, I feel like I have to take a little bit of a breather, which again, privileged thing to say.
Yeah.
But it was like not as much crazy shit is going down that I feel like I can step away from this a smidge. And I feel like there's a part of me that is so dreading the fact that we could go back to that insane place, because at the end of the day, like I would love to not have to think that hard about politics, which is a privileged thing to say.
Right.
And a lot of people are affected by it constantly, more than I ever have been in my life.
Yeah.
But it's like at our president and everyone who holds a seat in the government is supposed to work for us. And it's like, I want that to be how it feels.
Yeah.
Where these
it couldn't
just
feel more opposite.
Completely.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we've really ever had that. I probably was just not of voting age and wasn't paying as much attention because, I was busy worrying about like acne and birth control.
Which is okay that that's what you were thinking about.
Yeah. But now I'm like, these last 4 years have just been so much quieter than the previous 4.
Yeah.
And so I'm dreading every fucking second of it, to be honest.
I am too. And it's like, even though things like the stasis is a little more like calm at the moment, it's like there's still war going on. Like we still know people
now.
Whose families are being affected by these wars. And like, just like, I mean, I can name like any facet of like our general like society, and like there's something like there's
something wrong,
fucked up with it right now. You know what I mean? And there's like something wrong, and there's something that needs like serious change.
Rights being stripped away.
Rights being stripped away, and it's like you and I have privilege in many regards, and like it's easy for us to not think about those things, and I don't know, in like an election year, I feel like it's a little more on the forefront. But then you also start thinking about like how it's always there.
Yeah.
Like no matter when you stop thinking about it, it doesn't cease to exist. And like,
in fact, that's probably when they're doing most of the work because no one's paying attention.
Exactly. And like, I'm just like, I feel this tension like ramping up, and I feel like the fear, and just like, I don't know, it's just like you see so many people like in such pain and terror, and
oh my God, yeah.
Thinking about like what their futures could be, and like I'm just like not ready for that. Fuck these old men.
I know.
I know that I listened to another episode where you're like talking about like older people in politics too, but I'm also just thinking about like I don't give a fuck about those people. I care about like the people in my community, and just like it's
well,
like
to me
sucks
it honestly
to see.
makes no sense that we are allowing ancient ass motherfuckers to kind of make all the decisions for the country, because it's like you're actually going to die really soon.
Yeah.
So maybe let's have it be somebody who has kind of like a future to look for, because they will protect that.
Right. I do think I do maybe I shouldn't say think, but like I do hope that a new generation like is able to like find seats in the government and like do and like actually really align with like it's crazy, because like you just said, like you want these people should be working for you in your best interest, but it's like for the majority of us it's not. But like maybe one day we'll like actually get there where it's like feels somewhat representative.
I mean, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
The dream.
It would be. And like it's just like there's gonna be a lot, it's gonna be worse before it gets better, and like that's what I feel like is really ugly right now.
Completely.
Yeah.
And it feels like we've made it so far in so many aspects of our lives. Like if you think it wasn't even probably like 50 years ago that women couldn't even vote, and so it's just crazy to think about those kinds of things. But at the same time, it's like it always is one step forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah.
We're definitely in a bit of a back. We're going back.
We're in a back phase. Yeah.
It does feel made up that Trump could be our president again.
I know it does.
Like made up.
It feels like it's like a sitcom episode. Yeah. Like it feels like an HBO drama that we're living in.
Like a horrible fake video game. Something
I can't even find release in like media and comedy and like
which like
things
you
I
even
like
kind of
anymore.
Saying like, yeah, at least there will be funny memes. Like I feel like the reason there were funny memes is because we just needed some little small hope of sanity to kind of grip onto at the time.
And I love that we can do that like as people, because I know we're not the only ones that feel this way, but it's like
it's a way to make it through.
It's still so tragic
it's
that's
bad.
Like what we get, like what we can get out of this. Like that's the one
A couple fire jokes.
Right, a couple fire jokes, some funny pictures, but
Oh my God.
I don't know. I think this year I'm like really, I mean, I did vote in the 2016 election. I didn't really get politically active until 2018. I started working on the Beto campaign because he was like one of our congressmen in Texas.
Sure.
And I like started to realize like how deep politics run, because in my mind, like when you're a kid, you're like,
oh my God, I know.
It's just
like, the president. There's one guy.
Like, it's one guy. Yeah, and it's just like, oh, this fits every facet of my life. And like this year, I don't want to just be like a performative activist.
Yeah, same.
And I feel like no matter how hard I try, like that, I can still be that way sometimes. And I'm like really want to challenge that this year. And so like that's how I'm gonna take the ugly and like maybe make it a little less ugly.
I honestly love that. And what I did, this was probably the 2020 election. I did some of those like call center, like, and it would actually,
I did those too.
You can like, I get time off for that. So it'd be fun to like organize a day to actually like do that with friends and organize a little squad.
I got 12 hours for that this year. I would love, that would be so fun for us to do, because it's like volunteer hours. I'm like, what the hell am I
actually
gonna
doing something good.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Making a small
Let's talk
difference.
about that like sometime.
Okay,
that'd be really fun.
Because it's like, even though, I mean, mostly you're talking to like angry Republicans, but it's like at least you might change a couple. You never know.
You never know. Yeah.
You never know. It was funny too. For some reason, Chris Noth. You do know who that is?
I don't think so.
He's big in Sex and the City.
Oh, I've never seen that.
So apparently he's from Wisconsin, and it was like a women in Wisconsin like call center, political call center, and for some reason he came on and gave a speech first. I was like, what the like over Zoom, and he was like, "Let's go, girls! Like we Democrats!" Like it was so crazy.
Oof. Like, oh, that's not.
No, we're all set. We actually just have to make a couple of phone calls. And this one woman in the comments was like, "Who is this man calling us girls?"
Oh.
She was so pissed.
I mean, good for her for like saying that.
Completely.
Yeah.
I was like, I actually don't know why y'all brought him in here, but I'm ready just to get started.
It's like such a choice to do that.
No, it was so crazy.
Is his name Chris what?
Noth.
Noth.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm about to do some Googling when
Crazy
I get home.
guy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the last thing I want to ask you before we wrap up is your hater mode activated today?
Oh, you know what? No.
I feel like your hater mode is never activated.
My hater mode is never activated. Tuesday when I got that email, I was so on fire.
Completely.
Wait, that was yesterday. Yesterday was Tuesday.
Yesterday was Tuesday.
Wow, it's felt crazy. Yeah, I did get the email on Tuesday. Yesterday, hater mode was activated. Today, it's not. I have nothing to hate on. I think I told you when I got here, I was like, there was really nothing spectacular about today. Actually, you know what? Today was a good day. Hater mode wasn't activated. I woke up, Riley and I went and like, we like slept in a little bit. We went into like his favorite deli and got food and like
it doesn't honestly
started
sound like
on such
a good day.
Great note.
Yeah.
And then like, I mean, the afternoon was like meh, nothing special about it. And then I came here and like had just such a lovely evening with you and James.
It really was so special.
And like my heart is so full, and hater mode's not activated today.
I will say, I don't think mine is either for those exact same reasons. It's hard to be in hater mode when you've had such a pleasant day as this.
Yeah, exactly.
It really is.
But if you talked to me yesterday, I would have been screaming on this podcast.
Someday I have to see you mad because I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh, it's rare. It's few and far between in moments. But like, I don't ever fight with actual people. I fight with like concepts and like emails.
Mostly same.
You know. I can't name the last time I actually like fought with a person.
Well, because that's no fun.
It's no fun. I don't like yelling at people. I don't like, you know, it's.
But I can still be a hater.
I can be a hater. Yeah, no, exactly. Literally, I was like, I can be a hater.
Well, thank you for coming on this podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
This is so fun. It was great to have you back, returning guest of the pod.
I'm like really honored to be like in the 2X club right now.
Oh my God, of course. You have to come on pretty much every season now.
I would love to.
I
have like, there were so many things that we talked about tonight that I was like, ooh, I have another story I want to tell, but like, we're going to have to save them.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
That's music to my ears. Well, thank you guys for listening, and I'll be back next week with lots of more good stuff for you. So, love you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. And that's a wrap. I had fun. How about you? As always, thank you for living, laughing, loving, and most importantly, listening to my podcast.
Want to stay in the loop? You can find us at Pessimistic at Best on Instagram, or if it's me you're looking for, that'll be at Sam Georgeson on all platforms. Don't forget to rate and review the show, and if bonus content is your thing, you can gain access to extra episodes by joining our Patreon. The link is in our show notes. And last but certainly not least, shout out to James for being the brains behind this operation. Couldn't do it without you, honey. Okay, see you next week.